Hello, sweet friends. It is time for our read aloud. And if you remember, Apple Blossom was found in Izzy's room and by her dad, and then Columbo comes in, and so this is how Apple Blossom thinks she's done. She's done for. She's toast. This is her final death scene. So we'll see if Apple Blossom is a goner or not. Izzy's father now stands right next to the overturned hamper holding a net. He ran and got it from the garage. It was used at some point by Uncle Randy on a fishing trip and then abandoned on a shelf to gather dust and spiderwebs. Izzy's mother left the room and is now back holding a broom and a hammer, which causes Izzy to shout, "What are you doing with a hammer?" Her mother's voice is too loud. "This is just in case." "In case what?" Izzy responds. "In case you decide that a defenseless little possum is a nail?" Her father waves his arms in an attempt to create calm. Okay, that's enough." Izzy's mother looks from her husband to her daughter. "The animal's wearing doll clothes. You've been playing with a gigantic rat." Izzy shakes her head. "It's not a rat, it's a possum, a marsupial. And I didn't put those clothes on her. She put them on herself." Izzy's parents both have uncomfortable looks on their faces, and not because of what Izzy has just said. Her father loosens his grip on the fishing net. "This net smells awful." Izzy's mother nods. "It's like dead fish or something." Izzy doesn't care about the bad-smelling fishing net, although she does realize that the room is quickly taking on a terrible odor. She tries to explain. "The possum is my friend, my pal. I've seen her before through the window. I woke up this morning and she was sleeping with my stuffed animals." Izzy's father inhales big, like he's going to hold his breath before going into a tunnel, and then exhales long. He then adds, "The animal does not belong in our house. Wild animals have fleas and ticks and carry rabies. It doesn't matter that the creature somehow got into clothing. It wouldn't matter if the animal could play the piano." Izzy's mother interrupts. "Well, it would be amazing if it played the piano. I mean, we could make all kinds of videos and put them online and..." Izzy's father stares at his wife. "The animal does not play the piano." Izzy feels fairly certain that her possum is not musical. She doesn't want to reveal the fact that the only talent she'd noticed so far is the possum's ability to make a big mess. If the bathroom is any kind of example, her new pal is an awful house guest, so she remains silent. Columbo has been banished to the hallway, and he is whining with the kind of urgency that is beyond any of his usual meltdowns. The dog's clear desire to sink his teeth into something other than his red ball seems to bring Izzy's parents back to the problem in the room. Her father positions the fishing net over the laundry hamper as he instructs his wife and daughter. "You two should step back. I'm going to slowly lift the basket. The animal is going to run." Now it's Izzy's turn to interrupt. "We don't know she's going to run. Please be careful. She must be very afraid." Then Izzy's father slowly tilts the laundry hamper. They all wait. And wait. Nothing happens. Finally, Izzy says, "She's not running." Her father then lifts the hamper up high into the air, which causes the net to rise up as well. They can all now clearly see the possum. The animal is flat on her back, arms stiff, eyes closed. Izzy screams, "She's dead!" And she bursts into tears as her heart breaks. Her father does his best to explain as he stammers, "Small animals can die from fear. They have heart attacks." Tears run down Izzy's face. She cannot believe that the little creature is dead. But Izzy's whole bedroom has the smell of death. It's like the rotten stench of water in an old flower vase, only worse. Her father puts his arm around her, but her mother stays at a distance. Columbo whines louder on the other side of the door. Izzy is able to say through her tears, "I want to give her a proper burial." "Of course, sweetheart," her mother says. "We can find a nice box and we can make a garden for the animal in the garden." But Izzy continues to cry. "We can't put her out back because Columbo will dig her up, no matter how deep we make the hole." In the hallway, Columbo's frantic sounds do suggest that he'd dig through the earth's core to get at this thing. Izzy's mother nods. "You're right. we'll find a spot in the front of the house, maybe in the rose garden. And when we see the flowers blooming in the future, we'll know that she's part of that. It is hardly consoling news. Izzy leans close to the possum and through her tears manages to say, "We are so sorry for what happened. We didn't mean to scare you." Izzy's mother and father suddenly seem to feel very guilty. Her mother puts down the hammer and places the broom against the wall. "I've got a shoebox in my closet, and we have tissue in the drawer in the rec room. Nice pink paper." Izzy's father does his best to roll up Uncle Randy's old fishing net. "I'll take this out to the garage." Izzy follows her mother to her closet, where she tries to steer Izzy toward a box that was for running shoes, but Izzy insists on a glossy black box that holds her mother's favorite high heels. Izzy returns to her room and lifts up the possum and carefully places her on top of a bed of crisp pink tissue paper. She is surprised that the furry little animal is still warm to the touch. Izzy's parents are standing at the door waiting. They seem very anxious to get the possum out of the house and into the hole in the ground that her father has already dug, so hurriedly that his back now hurts in places he calls the L4, L5 area. Her parents seem to need to have this episode, as she hears them whisper, over as soon as possible. Her mother asks, "Do you want your father to take off the blue jacket, since it belongs to your bear, and the bonnet and the boot?" Izzy makes a face that indicates no. Her mother manages a wobbly smile. "No, bad idea. Also, sweetheart, it's probably better not to keep touching the animal." Izzy stops crying long enough to say, "Can I just have a few minutes to myself, to say goodbye?" Her parents exchange looks, but don't speak. After a few moments, they nod and edge out of the room. Izzy stares down at the possum. She reaches her hand into the box and places it on the little animal. She says, "I'm so sorry." What happens next is the shock of shocks. The possum's little hand suddenly wraps around Izzy's finger in what can only be described as a firm grip. Izzy starts to scream, but she stops herself. The possum isn't dead. This possum is alive. Izzy's eyes focus on the Paddington blue bear jacket. It moves up and down in a very small increments. Why hadn't she seen this before? The animal is breathing. And then as Izzy stares into the fancy shoebox, the little possum's eyes slowly open. She looks right up at Izzy, and with an expression that can only be described as relief, her little possum mouth opens and she smiles. It's the smile that does it. Izzy takes action. She scoops the possum out of the shoebox and runs to her bureau. She opens the top drawer, which is filled with soft cotton t-shirts. She then sets the possum down, she hopes, in a comfortable position, and shuts the drawer. Izzy next goes to her bathroom. She grabs the shampoo bottle out of the trash can and quickly fills it halfway up with water. She tests the weight and adds another inch of water. Better. Izzy runs back to her bed, puts the shampoo bottle in the shoebox, and pads the tissue around the container to keep it snug. She places the top on the shoebox and then grabs a ribbon from her night table. She wraps the ribbon around the box and ties it tight. She is just finishing the bow when her bedroom door opens. Her mother looks in. "How's it going, Izzy? Are you ready?" Izzy, no longer crying and newly energized, tries to look sad, which is hard because she is anything but sad, and not an actor. She secures the ribbon and attempts to sound full of sorrow. "Yes, I said my goodbye. Let's go put her in the front yard. Right away." Izzy lifts the shoebox and starts for the door. She hasn't gotten far before Columbo charges in. The dog jumps up to get at the shoebox. Izzy's father appears from the hallway and reaches for the dog's collar. But Columbo angles in the other direction and gallops, which is an accurate description of how the frenzied canine moves when he's focused on something, into the bathroom. Izzy's mother takes off after him. "Columbo, get out of there!" The dog's nose goes to the ground as he frantically sniffs the floor tiles as if they are coated with beef jerky. Then, before Izzy's mother can gain control, Columbo bolts back into the bedroom. He lifts his nose into the air, and Izzy can tell he has picked up the scent, because he lunges straight for the bureau. She shrieks, "Get him out of here!" The alarm in her voice seems to penetrate the dog's brain, because he is even more anxious as he throws himself against the bureau. His claws scratch at the top drawer, and his teeth clamp down on the knob. He is going to open the drawer. But to Izzy's parents, he just appears to be an insane dog intent on destroying good wooden furniture. Izzy's father shouts, "Columbo, no!" There is something about Izzy's father's voice that commands attention, especially when he's angry. And the only thing that really gets him angry is Columbo. Izzy's father grabs the dog by the collar and pulls him away from the bureau. Seconds later, Columbo is out of the room and sequestered in his dog crate in the kitchen. And not long after that, Izzy and her parents lower a fancy shoebox containing a shampoo bottle filled with water into a hole in the front yard and say a prayer. And that's the end of chapter 25.